All right, it's the early morning yoga class, and we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. And so it's a great night for doing yoga, or it may be like the morning where you are. I'm Michael, so this is kind of like, I would say, the Friday night edition of yoga. And so we're going to kind of dive right into this. As I said the other day, we're going to maybe add a couple other things. I like to do little additions to each of my classes. I don't try to do too much at one time because then it's kind of too much for everybody to take in. So I don't like to go into all the advanced poses and the variations and what have we. So sometimes it's good to go step by step, and then I kind of do maybe a repeat or a recap of what I did a couple days before. So once again, for those of you that are just tuning in, I'm Michael, Jeff, and this is the Yoga Lounge channel. And we do yoga classes once a week or sometimes twice a week. In addition to, I do lectures, different talks, different messages on various subjects. So, anyways, I hope you're going to enjoy it. I hope you all enjoy it. And I try to mix it up for varying levels, for different abilities. So this time I'm going to try to keep quiet a little bit and not talk as much. And so that kind of, gets the flow going a little bit better. So if I leave out some of the descriptions, then I'll try to do that in the description box. Anyway, so let's start, and let's just get right into it. So the first thing I'd like to do is, if you have a yoga mat tonight, that's good. If you don't, that's okay too. We're just going to get started into the first asana, which is usually Sukhasana. So a lot of the time, what they do in the tradition, or they go into a relaxation like about maybe 3 to 5 minutes before everybody gets started to kind of prepare the body for the class. So this is done, something that's done usually at the ashrams or the Shivananda centers. When they teach a class, they usually go into like a relaxation before the class, which is kind of interesting. I usually don't do that because I don't have it takes a lot of time, and so I know a lot of people don't have they don't want to sit through the whole, sometimes it goes into an hour or longer, so I try to keep it down under an hour. So, in any event, so we're not going to do this, so I kind of jump ahead. So we go into like the Sukhasana first, which is the seated posture. So let's do that. So we're going to first go ahead and sit down on your mat, and hopefully the seeing point of where your vision is, you can see what I'm doing tonight. I'm trying to make it a little bit lighter this time. Last week I know it was a little bit dark. So this time, but I like to kind of have it dark. It gets more of a kind of a, yoga authentic, or a authentic yoga class. A lot of the teachers, they keep the room dark when they have the class. So that's what, so my intention is, sometimes it's too dark, and so I have to go a little bit lighter. So let's just see where this is and how it turns out tonight. And I'm feeling really good. So I'm going to try to convey that over to you, the viewer who is watching, and we will go from there. So let's bring our hands to our knees and get right into this class tonight. So the fingers are touching, the index fingers is touching the third finger, and the thumb is touching both of those fingers. So all three of these fingers are connecting, and you may not be able to see that, but let's do that. And let's relax the shoulders, so straightening through the back. Trying to keep a relaxed seated pose to start out. Just sit very comfortably. And just begin to notice your breath, and try to bring yourself into this period of about 50 minutes, maybe an hour if it goes into that. And let's just breathe. A few deep breaths. So coming into the present, wherever you are in the world, bring yourself into the now, into this zone of yoga tonight. And let's go ahead and look over to your right side, gently gazing over the right shoulder, or at least towards that, and continue the breath. Notice that the shoulders are drawing closer to your mat. Have that vision that your shoulders are relaxing down. Your back is nice and straight, opening the chest. Turn over to the opposite side, which would be your left side. Once again, looking over to the right. Feel how your fingers are touching. Bringing your attention back to the breath. Once again, look to the left. And breathe and relax. Bring the hands into prayer position. Inhale, exhale, and let's go into, let's kind of give the head a gentle tilt over to the side. So we'll tilt the head. Let's turn over to the left side first. Grab the opposite side of the head and gently tilt the head over. The other hand is resting on the knee. And breathe. And take the opposite hand, grabbing on the, kind of on the side of the head, the opposite side of your head, nice and easy, and tilt the head. I guess this time it would be over to your right. And breathe. You feel a little bit strained in this, you just may not want to tilt the head over, you may just want to come back up. Otherwise, this is a good neck stretch, and relax. Bring the hands in prayer position under the chin. Tilt your head up, slightly back. Exercising and stretching the neck. Again, the upward stretch is good for the neck. And exhale, bring the chin on down toward the collarbone. Exhale. And come back up, and let's go ahead and stretch forward and put the hands out in front of you, looking toward your fingertips, and gently stretch forward from the hips. Notice here that you don't want to go too far, that you're rounding the back. So keep the back straight. You just may want to come down just a tiny bit here. Others may want to deepen the stretch and go further, depending on your feeling level tonight. Keep the breath nice and even. If you notice that you're strained in the back, then you come up a little bit on the stretch But keep a nice lengthened and straight spine and back. So throughout all the asanas, we want to try to keep our back straight. So that kind of helps open things up. And as we are, so keeping the mind gazed forward, the eyes are relaxed. And breathe. Coming into the moment, and the main reason for yoga is to prepare the body for meditation. For sitting for long periods of time in meditation, it's one of the essential purposes of doing yoga. Some of the great yoga practitioners are able to go into meditation without doing yoga because they've been doing it for so long. And that's okay. So sometimes you may just want to go into your meditation practice, or vice versa. All right, so let's come up to a standing position. And so always kind of gathering ourselves, getting up slowly, and sitting down, and rise and shine. So we bring our hands out to the side. Let me just make an adjustment here. Okay, let's see. All right. So everything may have shook up a little bit. The camera, I had to kind of change things a little bit because I think it was cutting off the top of my cap where it is, and so I'm not sure, but maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. All right, so you may not be able to see my arms here when they lengthen up, so we'll just maybe just do, we might just kind of follow along with my description as I describe it, or the general guideline. So if you can't see exactly what I'm doing, and I hope that you can see the angles of my feet and my knees when we step out to do the sun salutation. So in your case, you can stay right where you are. Probably your mat is facing the camera, but if your mat was like mine, kind of lengthenwise, then you want to turn around and let's step to the front of the mat, or towards your front. And we're going to do a few rounds of the sun salutation, sometimes called Surya Namaskara. So, as we said before, this one's good for, it has kind of all of the or many of the different poses in yoga, or at least all the basic ones, so all incorporated into one. So if you don't have time during the day, you may just want to do the sun salutations to kind of get it all in a more efficient and quicker manner. All right, so let's step to the front of your mat and let's begin. So the first position, of course, would be into the kind of the prayer pose, Tadasana. So inhale, exhale, sort of grounding yourself into your yoga mat, connecting with the ground. And we take a breath, bend the knees, let's inhale up, arms alongside the ears. And exhale down, and let's step back into Parsvakonasana. Let's go back with the right foot, the knee to the floor. Very carefully and mindfully, keep the front knee over the foot. Back knee is connecting with the ground. And let's, as we breathe, continue the breath, coming back into the plank pose or Parsvakonasana. Retain the breath. And let's go into Asana Namaskara, the knees, the chest and the chin, keeping the hips slightly up. The fingers are alongside the shoulders, or kind of in line with the shoulders, I should say. And the next movement is we're going to do an inhale into Bhujangasana. If you can't do that, then just come to here, where the elbows, you're kind of just resting on your elbows and your chin is still on the mat. So a modified cobra. Whichever one you were in, modified or Bhujangasana. So we exhale into downward dog. If you don't want to go into downward dog, if it's too much, then just stay on your knees. Otherwise, go into Parsvakonasana. Try to get the heels down and back. And with that movement, that was an exhale. So we're looking back toward our toes. We're bringing our navel toward our thighs. Our hands are out in front of us. We're very straight and lengthened through the back. And once again, let's step through the hands, same foot that we stepped back with in Asana. The knee is directly over the foot. Hands are placed in front of us, and let's bring the other foot forward to join the foot into Uttanasana. And again, we don't want to round the back, so if you're rounding the back too much, then come up a little bit on the legs. Otherwise, if you can lengthen all the way down without rounding the back, then do so. And let's lengthen up as we have almost completed our first round. Inhale, exhale down. Take a couple moments to rest between the next one. We'll do about, let's say, maybe one or two more. And so you get the idea. You can always do, sometimes it's good to do almost 7 of these, when you have the time to do so. Okay. Inhale, exhale, hands in prayer in the chest. And once again, bend slightly at the knees, lift the arms up alongside the ears. And exhale, stepping back with the opposite leg this time. The knee touches the floor. The right knee is still in front, directly over the foot. And we're going to come back into the plank pose once again. Retain the breath. And we're going to come down into Ashtanga Namaskara once again. Knees, chest, and chin, exhale. Inhale into Bhujangasana, or if you want to go modified, try to get the shoulders down. I'm feeling a little bit tight in my back, so I'm trying to, I'm going to modify this just a bit. If you feel you're straining in the back, then sometimes it's good to just come to right here instead of going into the full Bhujangasana pose. Sometimes you have to modify a lot of these. Okay, let's exhale into Adho Mukha Svanasana if you just want to stay here on the knees. It's more of a modified approach. If you want to come back into downward facing dog, then come all the way up into an inverted V position. Looking back at your toes, the fingers are out in front, evenly placed. Your shoulders are strong, your whole body's active, and this one's really good for kind of an overall, just strengthening everything from the legs to the hips, to the back, to the shoulders and the chest. And let's step through with the left foot and the knees directly over the foot into Anjaneyasana once again. So you notice there's a real correlation between all of these. So it's very balanced, stepping back and stepping forward with the same foot. Kind of all these repetitions have a significance in this, and we step forward as we exhale into the Padahastasana or Uttanasana, and we can bend the knees to take pressure off the back here if you need, or if you can stretch all the way down
without rounding the back, then go ahead and do so. Some people will be able to put their hands all the way to their feet and keep the legs straight if you're very, very, very advanced. Others may just come above the knee, just kind of like this. And let's come up, inhale, and exhale. Down. And let's do one more quick round on the right side in sun salutation. So inhale, exhale, inhale up, exhale forward into Uttanasana. Step back with the right foot, knees over the foot in front. Retain the breath into plank. Exhale, Asana Namaskara, knees, chest, and chin. Inhale into Bhujangasana or modified, just resting on elbows. Exhale, downward dog. And stepping forward, inhale into Anjayanasana once again. And exhale, both feet together, Uttanasana. Head toward the knees and inhale up. And relax back into arms alongside the body. And so strengthening, so let's pull the arms back here. It's just kind of going with the flow and opening up your chest. And let's proceed to go through some of the rest of the positions. Now sometimes in yoga, what they'll do in the class is actually turn around to the side and then start to go into the triangle series. Usually it's turning around to the right or the left side. I just turned around to the left, and then they start going to the Trikonasana pose next. But I'm just going to stay facing forward so you can see what I'm doing. If you'd like to turn around to your left side, then go ahead and do so. And let's just go into Trikonasana on your, let's do the right side first. So legs apart, evenly stretched. And this one is the triangle, sometimes called Trikonasana, is good for the whole body. One of the main benefits of this pose is to strengthen the outer thighs and the inner hamstrings, as well as the hips and the back and the shoulders. So this one also is good for digestion. So it helps make your digestion more efficient. And it's also, it's a very strengthening posture. So it really enhances overall body strength and health, longevity, as far as from a strength standpoint. So let's bring the arms up airplane fashion. The feet are about 3 to 4 feet apart, or whatever is good for you or feels comfortable. Don't want to be too close. And so the back foot is in about 45 degrees. The front foot's out about 90. Exhale, slide the hand down the leg. Look up to the hand if you can. Otherwise, keep the neck where it was, gazing forward without looking up to the hand. But try to look up to the fingertips, opening up the chest. So we can feel, try to bring yourself into this pose, into the asana, into the fully focused. Breath is active. And so usually we can hang out about 5 breaths. Sometimes some people hold these poses longer. Even up to a minute, sometimes a couple minutes. I don't know, it depends on the advancement of the practitioner or the ability level. And let's just come up right now though for the sake of all saying. Exhale. And let's turn around to the opposite side. So moving a little bit faster tonight, but still taking our time. Inhale, arms up, airplane fashion. And we're going to a round on the left side. So stretching out, lifting the arm up, reaching toward the ceiling as we slide the hand down the leg, looking up toward the hand if you can. Otherwise, keeping the gaze forward. So you'd be looking at wherever, looking straight ahead. If you can, if it's not too much for the neck, then try to gaze up to the fingers. Keep the breath active. Try to reach down toward the foot. And breathe. Opening the chest. And come up, exhale, and release. Okay, so take a couple breaths and let's recollect. Relaxing between asanas. Giving the body a chance to catch up with itself. So everybody has their own way of practicing these poses. And that's however you like to do or practice your practice is, it's all good. That's what yoga is all about. It's about being yourself, being in the now. It's not a kind of thing where you look at somebody else and say that's the way we should do it, or you look at the person in front of you, you say, oh, I got to do it like that. It's about what you are feeling and really listening, learning how to listen to your body and kind of feeling what's next and what's coming up. So let's go into Parsvakonasana, which is the extended side angle. So I'm going to demonstrate this a little bit further tonight. It kind of looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to kind of guide you step by step as we go into the Parsvakonasana pose. So the first thing, we take a wide stance. The front heel lined up with the back arch. Feet are in one straight line. Hips are in alignment with the knees and the feet. Okay, so the first thing, we keep the breath going, we relax, drawing our shoulders down. Notice that we're relaxed throughout the whole body, arms up, airplane fashion. And we just kind of, as we're bending the right knee over the foot, we lift the arm up over the ear, opening up our chest, not coming down here, but we try to get the chest open with the knees in proper alignment. And looking gently up toward our armpit or our upper arm. And keep the breath going. The back leg is straight. The knee in front is directly over the foot. And let's come up. And if that's too much for you, then go ahead and stay out of the pose. I know there's different levels here, so I'm just trying to accommodate all levels. If you feel that you want to go into more advanced variations and you know them, then feel free to do this. So let's go into the opposite side. So once again, extended side angle onto the left side. Lift the arm up over the ear. Knees directly over the foot, looking gently up toward the upper arm. The palm of the hand, or the flat part of the hand of the outstretched arm, is facing toward the floor. So you're kind of gathering energy from the side of the room, bringing it back and all the way through to the back leg to the foot. So this pose is really good for the legs and the hips, and really makes you stronger, and it's also good for constipation, I think. It's good for that. Really gets things moving in the body. And let's come back up. And we also have, there's reversed extended side angle, which we'll do at a very later date, which is And so, by the way, triangle and extended side angle can be, you can go into reverse triangle, then also as well reverse extended side angle. So there's different variations for all of these. So I'm going to try to show a couple additional ones tonight, if I'm able to. I was talking about that the other day. So I'm going to show Navasana in a bit, which is like the boat posture. And I'm also going to do Janasarasana, the single leg stretch. All right, so the next one, of course, in this flow would be Parsvakonasana. So let's step out. And so the front foot is out 90 degrees. The back foot is in about 45 degrees. The front and the back foot are properly in alignment and is a straight line. So this one, of course, is sometimes called the pyramid pose. Some of you, if you're very advanced, may want to put the hands in prayer behind the back and then bend forward like this. Oh, I lost my balance. Okay. I don't usually do it like this, but I do it a lot. If you wanted to do it like that, but others, okay, let's just go ahead. And so the back foot, the arch lined up with the front heel. Let's rest the hand on the leg and just slide, keep the front leg straight, sliding the hands down. And if your back starts to round, then stop right where you are. If your arms are going too straight, that means you're probably stretching too far. So there should be a nice subtle stretch in the arms. So kind of round it out at the elbows a little bit. So watch that you don't round the back. And this stretch is particularly good for the spine and lengthening in the back. The pyramid pose. As we gaze down toward the foot and breathe. Keep the breath active. Feel the connection with your feet on your yoga mat. Drawing in that energy, and so you can feel very active here, very energetic. And let's lift up. Lift the arms up, keep the back straight, really opening up, lifting high, exhale and release. Let's go to the opposite side. Okay, and so once again, if you were in that variation stretch with the hands in prayer behind the back, sometimes you may be a little bit too stiff to do that. And this is for very advanced people. For everybody else, you want to just kind of lift the arms up. So usually, and this would be the first movement. So if you're doing the prayer position behind the back, then after you lift the arms up, then you would come down here like this. Okay, so for everybody else, we're coming down here. Let's slide the hands down the leg. As we exhale, looking toward the foot, both legs are straight, heel and back arch in alignment. Into Parsvakonasana, and keep the breath active. Don't stop breathing when you get into the pose. Keep the breath going evenly as it was before. So we always keep the breath is very important in yoga. It kind of goes along with each posture. Kind of drives the body. So the breath really drives all of these asanas. And let's just come up now. Inhale and exhale, release. Okay, and so I'm moving a little bit quicker tonight. Those of you that want to go slower, then please do so. You can turn it off and then come back to it later. All right, so let's go into the kind of the wide angle forward bend. Put the hands behind the back first here to open up the shoulders. That kind of just lengthen. I just kind of improvised there just to kind of open up the body a little bit. And let's stretch forward as we put the hands on the legs and reach toward our feet. Exhale and breathe into Parsvakonasana. And keep the breath nice and active.
Some of you may be able to go all the way down. If you're coming down and rounding the back, then come back up. Try to lengthen throughout the back, keeping the back straight. So very important in particularly this pose and a lot of the other ones to keep the back straight. Rounding the back is not good for the back, puts too much pressure on it and defeats the whole purpose. So keeping a straight spine and a straight back really is what's behind all this into making it much more effective for you. So wherever you were in this pose, we'll begin to come up. Just let's take a couple more breaths. And lifting up, a lot of strength here. You can make a fist here, then open up the hands. Okay, so coming out, exhaling and release. All right, so let's go into the next one, to Virabhadrasana 1. I think we'll go into 1 and then we'll go into 2 if we have enough time for that. So let's, if you need to take a little bit more rest, then do that. You can kind of catch up with me as I go along. So both legs out, square off the hips. First, very important here to keep the hips in alignment. So this is a very strength enhancing posture here, probably the strongest pose or one of them. And we did this the other day on the beach. And so you can usually go into the sequence of Warrior 1 and then Warrior 2. And then Warrior 3, which we haven't done yet. Get into that later. So arms up, inhale, hands together, arms alongside the ear, the legs are still straight. Forward facing, looking straight ahead, keeping a nice gazing point, bend the knee over the foot, exhale, lengthen, keep the legs straight and back. Your foot, both feet are connecting with your yoga mat. If you can, look up toward the fingers. Keep the breath active. And let's just come out airplane fashion into Warrior 2. Relax the shoulders, the knees directly over the foot. Once again, the hips are in alignment with the knees. So the hips have shifted a little bit as we're in alignment with the knees here. And exhale and release. So I hope you all can see me. I've got some candles here. One candle is slightly tilted on me there a little bit. So I'm trying to get a little bit more efficient lighting in here tonight. So again, square off the hips. If you need to rest, then come down and just take a few moments to rest. You can always just watch. Square off the hips. Bring the hands together. Inhale up. Get the arms alongside the ear. Both legs are active. Back leg is straight. Exhale into Warrior 1 first. If you can, look toward the hands. If you can't see my hands, and just try to guide, use my voice as the guideline as I'm guiding you through this. And let's exhale into Warrior 2. And breathe, keeping it going. Nice and good. Deep breaths. Body is very active. This is Virabhadrasana 2. Knees directly over the foot in front. Keep the shoulders drawing down toward the mat. Relax the chin. You can feel the strength, really, really good for your arm strength here in this pose. Exhale and release. Okay, so so we've just completed a few asanas here in the beginning round. So normally, I'm just going to take a couple moments while we're resting to go into usually like a balance, maybe one balancing pose, and then they go into what's called Salamba Sarvangasana. So many of you know what that pose is, shoulder stand, if you're more of an advanced yoga practitioner. And you know the shoulder stand and you want to go into it. I'm not going to get around to demonstrating or doing that posture yet because there's a lot to it. It's one of the inverted postures, so it's very beneficial for the heart, for the venous return, getting blood back to the heart, and also restoring of the youth, and shoulder stand is really good for the youthful appearance. Maybe in a week or two, I'm going to just devote maybe one session just to demonstrate shoulder stand. So there's a modified version of that, and I might show that actually. Okay, so let's just do one balancing pose, just for the sake of having fun, and it's always good to do a couple balancing poses. So there's the tree, and there's a couple other ones which we'll get into later, but we've just been doing the tree pose. So for those of you that know what the tree is and would like to go into tree, do that. Otherwise, let's just bring the hands into prayer, and we'll lift one foot in front of the other. Kind of lift it up. If you can't lift the foot up, just bring the step out with the foot a little bit. And it's good for balance here. And step out. Let's do the opposite foot. So bring the hands into the chest. Kind of, take an even stance here. Don't try to get too close, one foot exactly in front of the other. I mean, so whichever comfortable for you, just kind of step out with the opposite foot, and then try to lift the foot off the ground. If you can. If you can't, then just keep it on the ground. And, we'll just do it like that, okay? So at least one balancing pose. And then let's go ahead and let's relax down onto your mat. Okay. So let's come into cross-legged position once again. Let's go into the next pose. So I think where we'll go from here is dive right. I'm going to show a modified version of Parsvakonasana, and I think this might be effective before I start demonstrating shoulder stand in a week or two. So keep your attention now. Don't deviate. Try to stay with me for another 20 minutes or so. You can always turn it off and then come back to it. And so in this one, let's see if I can do this. I don't know, maybe how well you can see me. I might have to get a little bit farther back. So the modified version for shoulder stand, and it gets a little bit of the effect, which gets the inverted posture going and starts to bring the circulation back. And this one's good for, a lot of different things, including the digestive system and the respiratory system, and it's good for the heart, really good for the heart, and of course it's good for strengthening the whole body. So, but we're just going to go into the basic modification here. So arms are a little bit out, and just lift the legs up 90 degrees. If for those of you that really know the shoulder stand and would like to do that, then just go into shoulder stand now. And so we'll just hold a few breaths here. And for just the sake of fun, if you want to go into bringing the legs apart, you can, widening the, it's kind of like a reverse seated angle posture. Gets a little bit of a deeper stretch to the legs. For those of you that were in shoulder stand, you may want to start to come out of it, or if you want to go into Halasana, the plow, you can do so. And come down. For everybody that did that, then just come down, bring the legs down. For those of you that are in plow, you might just want to hold out for a couple breaths, and then whenever you feel you need to come out of the pose, do so. Lift the legs back up into shoulder stand, or however that you know how to do that. Okay. So So getting up slowly, and we're just going to do a couple more poses, and then we're going to call it a night. So stay kind of with the flow, and then as I was talking about the shoulders down, that there is a sequence to that. Usually it's the shoulder stand, then you go into the plow, and then you come back up again. There's variations. Then you can come down into Seto Bandhasana, the bridge pose. Then you can go in the fish pose. So there's a whole sequence, and we might get into it later, where I just devote kind of one class to that shoulder stand sequence, which kind of ends up at the fish pose, or Matsuyasana. All right, so taking a couple breaths. And so now, so let's take just a few more breaths here to kind of, you may want to shake the legs out a little bit here. So being the legs in front, shake them out, and get the body loose, and kind of bring yourself into that flow. Stay in the moment. Keep your attention going with this. And so let's go into, from here, let's just go right into Parsvakonasana. So and then I'm going to demonstrate, like I said, the Navasana pose, or the boat, sometimes called the boat pose. All right. So just kind of hold yourself up with your hands here, still relaxing through the back. Taking a few moments, so never want to rush. Take it slowly. And let's bring the hands into the staff pose, Dandasana. Inhale up. And bring the hands resting on the legs. Exhale forward, the back is straight. Try to get toes to point the toes up toward the ceiling. Your heels are connecting with your mat. Stretch forward as far as you can without rounding the back. Keeping a nice straight back. And as we said before, as I've said before, this one is really, it's good for if you have, for the blood sugar. And it also has a calming effect on the body, so it's good for if you have anxiety. If you're rounding the back too much, then come back up a little bit higher. If you're able to go more further, lengthen through the stretch and stretch down toward the feet. If your arms are becoming too straight, that means you're going too far. You want to keep a slight bend to the elbows. So yeah, it's good for anxiety. It's good for the legs and your hips. So this pose is very effective for the back. And let's lift up. Inhale. And exhale, down, and release. And so bring the knees back up. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing tonight. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Now this is this is a new one. I left out, I didn't do the counter pose tonight, the inclined plane or the Parsvakonasana. Because I just like to maybe just do one at a time. So this is they call it the boat pose. It's usually done after the inclined plane. So there's a series, Parsvakonasana, inclined plane, or Parsvakonasana, and then usually Navasana, which would be the boat pose. So now for those, we're going to do I'm going to show the modified version first. So if you don't know, if you don't want to go into the full boat pose and your back's a little bit tender, or you tend to get a sore back, or even if you're feeling strained in the back tonight, then let's just go into the modified. So doing the modified first, we put the hands onto the, but kind of grabbing the legs a little bit below the knees. And we lift the feet off the ground like this. Keep a straight back. Keep gazing forward. So the gaze is forward. And lift. So that now the full. Let's see if I can do this tonight. Okay. So the full boat pose Navasana would look like, if you want to do this, or if you know this, only if your back is strong. So we come into kind of lifting the legs up, balancing on our, not on our tailbone, but balance kind of like right on our, around the buttocks area. So we're just kind of a little bit balancing act. And some of you may be able to grab all the way up like this. And this would be the boat, depending on how advanced you are. If you just did the modified version tonight, then that's fine. So stay just with that one. So that was the boat pose. And let's go into Parsvakonasana, which is the kind of the wide angle seated pose. So let's bring the legs back together first. And kind of stretch the feet back and forth. Taking a few moments, once again, between the postures. And so we're pretty much going to finish up here, I think, tonight. I think next time I'll demonstrate, we'll go into Janasarasana, the single leg stretch. So we kind of got a lot of that into within the Parsvakonasana, so I don't feel we need to do that tonight. And as we go on with some of these classes, I'll go a little bit further into, like I said before, to the locus or shalabhasana, which are the back strengthening postures. I have the bow or dhanurasana and some of the other ones. There's a few. And just kind of go with it. There's a lot of fun stretches in yoga. As we go along, maybe we might do simhasana, which is the lion pose. Some of you know what that is. Good for the throat chakra. So there's just so many different things, different poses, different variations, and kind of each time I try to make it interesting, bringing another variation, another aspect of the asanas and the yoga practice into these videos to make them more informative, so that you guys can pick up on some of the stuff and use it in your the way that you live every day and apply it to your life. Everything is balance. In yoga, it's all about balance. The same way it equates to life, as we talked about before. Everything is based on the three gunas, sattvic, raja, and tamas. So the three different parts of the day, kind of applies to yoga as well. The real strength building poses, the real active poses, the real calming poses, and maybe simhasana, the lion pose, would be the more along the lines of the tamas or Tasmanian. All right, so everything is based on also the moon and the sun. So Ida and Pingala, and we talked about that. You may want to refer back to my video on Kundalini energy, in which I explained all that in depth. And I'll keep bringing that up as we go on and as I teach more classes and stuff. And so let's just go to Parsvakonasana. So legs wide apart and nice even. If you can't get there, if it's too much for you, this is a real hip opener. So really good for that. So just do what your ability is here. If you don't want to do this, if it's too much for the hips, then you just may want to stay out of it, or just may want to go a little bit. And keep the toes nice and active, straight back, stretching forward. And again, there are variations to this. You can go to the side. But for tonight, I think we'll stick just with stretching forward a little bit.
Nice even breaths. Usually about 5 breaths, 5 to 7 breaths maybe sometimes. Some of you may want to stretch, hold longer. Depends on you. Feet back together. And all right, so let's prepare for final relaxation. So I think tonight seems I'm feeling really balanced, and you can notice how you felt when you first started tonight's series. Where your anxiety level was at that point. How you were feeling, and then notice how you're feeling right now. So what are the differences? Are you feeling more energetic? Are you feeling more calm? Is your back feeling differently? Are your legs, so you notice you kind of do a mental checkup on your whole body from head to toe. Where am I feeling different? How am I feeling better than I was when I first began? So this is the mark of improvement within your practice, when we begin to sense our improvements. And as I said before, some people tend to go too fast. They take it a little too far. A lot of people, we get into this, I want to prove to everybody that I'm pretty good at this. And so we get into that kind of frame of mind. But sometimes that's moving too fast, and it's not really good for the body. So doing a mental checkup, where am I feeling differently? What do I need to change? Maybe I need to slow down in some of the poses. So you can kind of feel that as you go along. Within each asana, it's good to do that, in fact. Listen to your spirit, listen to your body, what is it saying? Where do I need to be within this pose? Can I go further? Maybe sometimes you may feel that you can stretch, a lot deeper and hold the pose a lot longer. Okay, so let's go into final relaxation, to Shavasana, and I may need to adjust my mat. So coming a little bit farther back so that you can see. Not important whether you see what I'm doing or not. We're just going to lay flat on our back in the corpse pose. And this is, by the way, I want to stress again, one of the most, or if not the most important posture in yoga. So always don't do the other poses. No, I shouldn't say that. You just do what you have time for. It's always, even if you did anything, or maybe just the triangle, one pose. But you should never leave this one out, if you can help it. So, because it's very important, and it kind of brings the body back and lets the body recollect in motion everything that you did throughout the class, all the postures and everything, and it brings everything into a harmonious, shall we say, acquisition of what you did throughout the whole class into the final relaxation. So it brings everything back into the now, into the moment, and kind of puts the whole class into one capsule. So gently lying back, kind of coming back slowly, and until we're into the corpse pose. And we're going to rest for just a few minutes. Arms out airplane fashion. And just breathe, and start to relax from our feet. So feel the connection of the feet. Legs are connected with your yoga mat. Surrendering to the ground that's holding you up. So feel that art of letting go, that surrender. Feel your body
most of all, feel from the back, you're really feeling that surrender. So as we work our energy up from our toes down to our feet, feel our legs relaxing now. As we move that energy up, feel our hips relaxing. And then as we feel the back releasing, almost as if within the mind's eye, that the back is touching your mat, or at least you have the vision that you're surrendering the lower back all the way to the mat. So the ground is holding you up. You're not holding yourself up, so you're being supported here. And take that all the way up through the chest and the throat into where your head is lying on the back of the mat. And just let go and breathe. Let's take a couple more minutes. Sometimes you can stay in this for maybe even 10 minutes, 7-10 minutes, maybe longer. And let's just breathe. Okay, bringing your attention back into the moment, bringing the mind back, starting to, if you feel you want to go on, and stay right where you are, and keep within the posture. Otherwise, let's begin to come back and rolling over onto one side of the body, usually the right side, making a pillow with the hands. And surrendering, letting go of yourself. Always coming up in a slow moving progress to don't want to jerk up. Not good for the body, so it's always good in all of these things to do everything with moderation, getting up slowly. So this is the proper way to get up from that, especially after we've been lying down for a long period of time. All right, so let's bring the hands onto the knees. We'll do a few final breaths. A little bit of deep breathing and then a couple ums. So take a deep breath, inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's do 3 ums. Hands and prayer onto the Anahata chakra. Solar plexus. Inhale. One more. When we do the Oms, it kind of connects us with the universe. Hands are on the knees. And anyway, so I thank you for sharing your energy with me tonight, for joining me. And that's it for tonight. And so I'll be back on Sunday night, late afternoon, probably around 5 o'clock for something different, a different class, and we'll see what happens then. But anyways, good night.